My friend Jace read this for us, James chapter 2, 14 through 24. It is called, in your Bible, you probably see the little headings. My Bible has headings in it for the different chapters sometimes, or different sections of chapters. So you may see that in yours, but it's faith without works is dead. So there's a lot in this particular part of the chapter. I encourage you to look at it for yourself. There's a lot of resources out there. But I'm going to focus in on a couple of things that I feel like the Lord showed me this week for this time together tonight. Okay? Sound good?
Yes, sir.
Maybe? All right. So let's talk a little bit about James. So who's James writing to in his book that he wrote? He's writing to believers. So what does that mean? He's talking to those who are already saved, and they're looking for guidance on how to live more like Jesus. So that's who James is talking to when he writes this. He's not giving us a prescription for salvation in this book. So a lot of times you'll see in the Gospels. So anybody know what the Gospels are?
Matthew, John.
You got your hand ready. I'm pointing at you, brother.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Hey, you said that with a lot of conviction, and I appreciate it. All right. There's a low bar for applause within the group. But at any rate, thank you for sharing that. So it's not a prescription for salvation. If you look in a lot of in the Gospels, it's telling you how to know Jesus, what he did for you, that sort of thing. James, a lot of times people will talk about the book of James and they're talking about he's beating up on you. And he will. If you read James, he's telling you a lot of what you're doing wrong as a Christian. So book of James is probably not somewhere to go when you're, feeling a little down on yourself, looking for some encouragement. But there's a lot to be learned from the book of James. So we know who it's for. So what's he talking about? Well, he's talking about works. And so works, specifically, he talks about this in James 2:15 through 16. So I'm going to read that again for us real quick here. If a brother or sister was without food or clothing, let me try that again. If a brother or sister is without clothing and in need of daily food, and one of you says to them, "Go in peace, be warmed and be filled," and yet you do not give them what is necessary for their body, what use is that? So he gives you some examples of what works are. Oh, the doohickey's not working. Oh, there you. So he says there, so it's for food for those who don't need it, or foods who don't have it. Sorry, all of us need it. You can look at me and tell that I need a lot of it. Clothes for those in need. Your job. So how many of you have ever volunteered, maybe your family's volunteered at like a soup kitchen or something like that, and you served people who maybe didn't have access to food on a normal basis. So you served there. That's a work. How many of you have ever donated clothes to, say, Goodwill, Salvation Army, or something like that? Yeah. So that's helping people, or maybe you gave something to some people around you. So those are the good works that James is talking about. And so these works are things that we do as Christians. So as Christ followers. So he's reminding us, these are the things that you do. If you don't do them, then what good is your salvation, is what he's saying here. The other part here he's talking about, your works include your job. Now, looking out across here, most of y'all will probably say, Adam, I don't have a job. I'm too young to have a job. I'm working on get my work permit in a little while, because I think you got to be 14 or 14 and a half to do that. Okay. Some of you may have jobs in your family, and that's cool. But let me tell you, even the ones that don't get a paycheck, you know what your job is right now? School is your job. Being on a team is your job. Being a contributing member of your family is a job. Chores around the house is your job. Because you know why? And you know what God has given you the ability to do? He's given you the ability to reason, to think, and to do things that honor Him. And everything that you do, if you're a Christ follower, if you believe in Jesus, should be done in order to honor Him. So think about that for a minute. Everything that you do should have a Jesus emphasis on it. Even if it's picking up your room, even if it's playing on a sports team that maybe you don't get along with the other players that much. Maybe it's working in a class that maybe math isn't your deal, but you're working hard